Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. Today is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays I do my Q&A videos where basically you get to ask me whatever questions you have, and I do my best to try to answer them. So ask me the meaning of life, and I will say 42. So that's the kind of level of answers you'll get. So yeah, ask me your questions and I will give you my best answers. So this week I have lots of questions to go over. Some really great ones that I hope to give you some good answers for. Okay, the first one is from Batman Loves Comics. Hey, thanks for answering my question. So I answered his question last week, but he has a new question. I love the All-Star comic covers. I was wondering if you could show off some of your favorites. Also, do you have a favorite Joker cover in your collection? By the way, you do have an amazing collection. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of both, but I'm actually going to do another question at the same time, if that makes any sense. Ronald Burgess asked, Alan, what issue did Neal Adams do the Batman cover with the Joker on the cover with playing cards, as Fan Expo is selling an exclusive reprint of that book for $15. So I did see that there was a reprint of the book, and it's Batman 251. And the reason I'm answering both of these questions together is this is a Joker cover. So this kind of fits both questions. So I'll show all my Joker covers, and then I'll show the All-Stars as well. So this is Batman 251, and it's a great cover. It's actually probably one of my favorite Joker covers, if not the favorite. The one that I actually really like for Joker is Detective Comics 880, the Jock variant. I actually have it on order. I'm hoping to get it soon. But this is the one that that you're referring to, and it's Batman 251. So yeah, just a great Neal Adams cover. So I'm going to show you some more Batman Joker covers. Sadly, I don't have many from the Golden Age. I only have the one. I only have one Joker cover from the Golden Age, and it is Batman 49. It's a really great Joker cover, but it's the only one I have. So it has to be great. So yeah, just really cool cover. And show you some others. This one is one I really, really like for the Joker. This is Batman Harley Quinn. And that's just a really great cover. And then I got some various ones that, are kind of cool. I like this one because he's Batman's getting like tag teamed and kind of beaten up. It's kind of cool. So. And this one is interesting because it's like the one from the movie with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And I always like ones where it has almost like the villains gallery. So this is like all the major villains for Batman. This is Dark Knight #1. Kind of a cool cover. And I like these quirky ones. I really like quirky covers. This is the Black Label one with the. It almost got like he has this little shark sock sock puppet almost, and it's like just such a devious looking Joker. And the last one I wanted to show is actually one I kind of recommend. This is a good book to find if you can get it. It's Batman 566. And it's just a really great heroes gallery. I just think it's really cool. You got Joker here, but you got all the kind of key characters. I just think it's really cool. And they did it as a gallery, which is kind of cool. I just think it's a really great image. I bought it just for the cover itself. So I thought that was always cool. Okay, so those are my Joker covers. So kind of answers both questions there. Now, you asked me about my All-Star comics. So I have a small collection of All-Star comics, and I figure, hey, I'll just show you the whole thing, all of my All-Star comics. So they're not in any particular order. I just sort of pulled them off the walls because actually my All-Star comics I really do love, so I display them all. Like they're actually on the wall outside of this room, and sometimes they're behind me. So here's my All-Star Comics number 34. This is the first appearance of the Wizard. just a really cool character, and that was featured in the Stargirl series, so kind of a cool character. And then we got my my big one, which is All-Star 8, which is the first Wonder Woman. Just kind of a, mine's the low grade, 2.5, but low grade is better than no grade. So this is a great book, one of the most expensive books in my collection, actually, even in this low grade. So just a cool book. I really like this one. Cool back. And then we got my All-Star 5, which is the first Hawk Girl. That's kind of another cool kind of Green Lantern cover in Flash. I always like the style of the Golden Age characters. They look more down to earth, in my opinion. So I think that, a little homemade look to their costumes. I think it's always kind of cool. And then we got All-Star 4. So this one's in a low grade, but it's just missing a centerfold, but it presents really, really well. So I like it. I just really like how they're all in formation and ready to go off to their first adventure. So this is actually, that's what the key is for this one. This is the first adventure for the Justice Society of America. So I think that's kind of a cool one. I always like All-Star Comics when it has Hawkman on the cover. I just like the way his wings present. So it's kind of cool. And I just like these ones where it also has the full team. So you got like Dr. Fate, Hourman, Atom Smasher, Flash, and Spectre, and Hawkman and Green Lantern. So just really cool to see them all on the cover. I just really like that. And then we got All-Star 15, which is the first Brainwave. Just a really kind of a cool comic. I just really like this one. I like the fact that the villain's on the cover and you got all the heroes around and he's just like doing his thing. So I like that. Okay, and this is a really great one. I like this one a lot because it's a bondage cover. It's kind of cool. So you got all the heroes in bondage, and this is the first appearance of the Injustice Society of America. So it's just kind of like the reverse of the Justice League. And you got all the major villains down here. Just, I like when you can see all the characters, and it's just like really cool, like kind of situation. So I really like that one. So that's All-Star 37. And got some more All-Star. I got lots of All-Star. All-Star 21. And this is just a cool cover. I'm not sure if there's any key significance to it. I just like the cover. I like the date. Like, to me, anything like in the 40s is like, oh wow, that's so cool, like, so I like seeing that big date across it. And I just like all the characters standing there. I always like when you can see the whole team. I don't know why. I think it's really cool. I think actually I would like to take this one out of the plastic so I can show you a bit better. There, I think it presents a lot better outside of the plastic. So yeah, see, it's a really nice cover. Presents really well. And it's kind of interesting because like this one has like the date at the front and then all the prior dates. I think that's just kind of cool. So yeah. And then my last one to show is All-Star number 35. I was actually trying to get a run of All-Star, but this is all I could manage so far. And you got them all looking at the hourglass thing. And this is the first appearance of Degaton. So, Degaton maybe. So All-Star number 35. So it's kind of, and this is from 1947. So kind of a cool little collection of All-Star comics. And let me just move them around here a bit. Okay, because they were on top of my notes. So I hope that was interesting. I really enjoy the All-Star Comics covers. There's some with Hawkman that I really would like to get, like number 10. And there's a few issues that I keep on losing out on auctions, but someday I'll win them. Okay, the next question comes from Comic Book Ninja, and he writes, thanks for answering my questions. Uh, but you never answered whether or not there were any swap meets or flea markets in your area that you go to find comics. Yes, I actually kind of said that in the previous video, but yes, I just wanted to answer that. Yes, I do go to flea markets, and I, sometimes see stuff. But what ends up happening is when you go to flea markets, um, it's kind of weird, like because it's the Toronto area. Like what I'll do is I'll go to like yard sales. They're the best way to find comics because generally they're a little bit more affordable. But when you actually go to like what's called an official like flea market or place where they have like antiques, um, usually the vendors, especially in Toronto, they like. I even saw street vendors where they just charge like some crazy price, like just maybe like whatever the fair market value is, just times that by two. And it's just, I don't know why. It's something about Toronto. They kind of rip people off. It's just a thing. But you do well when you go to like yard sales. I find that those can be very successful places to find comics because usually it's just people getting rid of all the junk. Just get it out of my house. I don't care what it is. If it's super, Action One, that's garbage. Just so you can find some pretty great stuff from the yard sales, especially in my neighborhood. Because what we'll have is situations where people will do like what's called a house sale, like where you can basically go in and they'll sell all the contents of the sale, like a content sale they're called, and there'll be comics mixed in. I actually picked up some really great comics that way, where they just had them like labeled at $1 each, and it's like all these like Silver Age and awesome books. So it's you sometimes can find some cool stuff. Maybe if I do that again, I'll film it because you can see some pretty cool things. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question finally. My new question is, if you could go to any comic convention in the world, which one would you go to and why? Okay, so the next question is from Comic Book Ninja is, which comic convention would I want to go to? Well, the one I always hear about and I always wanted to go to is San Diego Comic-Con because it seems like all the drama happens at that. I know there was a lot of drama at C2E2, but I really like to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I just think it would be so much fun. It looks massive. I heard that the prices are a little high there, but I'd still like to go. I just like to see that and experience it. I think it sounds amazing. So yeah, so that would be the big one I'd like to go to. Okay, so the next question is from Ronald Burgess again. He asked me a couple questions. I was wondering about how much Fantastic Four 86 with the Doom cover and 104 with the Magneto cover in very fine might cost. I can't get them where I live online. Where I live. I can't go make it to the Fan Expo this year. I was checking for comic book auctions for Fantastic Four Annual 8, and a raw VF was listed at 105. Is that a lot, as there are no pictures to check? Okay, so a bunch of things in there. Fantastic Four number 86 has a kind of a cool Doom cover. Like all the covers with Doom are kind of cool. I don't know why that is. He's just something about Dr. Doom. He's just has that presence, makes the cover really shine. Number 86 goes for around $100 in a VF condition. And you can negotiate. If it's raw, you can probably get it a little bit lower than that, maybe like $80. And 104 goes for about $50. The annual goes for around 110 slabbed. So if you like, what I do whenever I see like a raw versus slabbed price, I always discount the cost of the slab. So if the slab is like, usually it's about $30 to $35. to send a book off to CGC and then have it come back. So yeah, so I kind of discount that. So if it's 110 for the slabbed version, then knock off 35 bucks. So, think around 85. Seems like a fair price. But it's always best to get pictures, because when you're buying raw comics, you are taking a risk. And, with, these books that you just mentioned, they have a lot of price compression. So if it's off like 1 or 2 grades, it's probably not going to make much difference in terms of the price. Because like, 8.5 and a 8.0 and a 7.5, almost all the same price. So it's just like it's called price compression when you have similar prices between multiple grades. And that's what you have with these books. There's just not enough volume of sales to spread out the prices. So yeah, so you probably are okay buying it raw as long as it truly is a VF and complete and all that kind of stuff, and no restoration. So yeah, I would aim for that $85 range for a raw copy. Okay, next question. Mr. E, the low grade king, wrote, I just got Ka-Zar the Savage number 12, recalled error Dante red panel variant, complimentary stamp copy stamped on it. Are the complimentary copies rare, or would a complimentary copy stamp make this copy more valuable since the book is somewhat rare? Okay. So just so people understand what this question is, Ka-Zar the Savage, when you open up the book, one of the panels inside there was 2 variants. One was the normal one, which had almost like a white panel. And then there was a red panel. And actually the red panel is better because it shows the actual image of Dante. Okay, so you can actually see the character. What happened was the white panels, which were the majority of the books that were printed, represent about 80,000 that were printed. Of that 80,000, there was 1,600 that had the red panel. Okay, so those are already more rare. They're fairly scarce, as I said. And what you can do is, whenever you see those numbers, like 80,000 and 1,600, I should say, 1,600, take that number and divide it by 2. And the reason I say that is generally a lot of these books were they would send them back, like they wouldn't keep all the copies, that they wouldn't always send. So they would, some would go back to the distributors. So generally, if you take, and then some would get destroyed from whatever reason. So usually you can sort of say the population is about half of what the print size was. That's typically the way I kind of work it out. I mean, it's not accurate, but it's an approximation. So you're thinking now that there's about 800 of these red panel ones, and within that red panel ones, how many were actually stamped as a copy? Probably not many. And maybe that's something, if you got it slabbed and like with notes that said that this is a complimentary copy, then probably it's probably like less than 10 exist, or maybe even less than that. So those kind of things, to the kind of collector for these books, would be something that they would seek. The only problem is, now here's the caveat, I looked up the prices of these books and they're not that expensive. It depends on the grade, if it's a high grade, maybe, but for the most part, I just picked up a copy. I thought it was such a cool thing that there's this variant, this recalled variant, that I ended up picking it up. I paid $4 for it. Sorry. Sometimes you think, oh, it's going to be super rare, and but it's just not that expensive of a book. But kind of a cool little bit of history. That's why I thought it was worthy of picking up. Okay, so that, and if you want to tell if you have this variant, it's very easy. Just turn to page 10 of Ka-Zar the Savage number 12, and if the panel is red in the lower left side, that means that you have that rare recalled variant. Okay. So that's, sorry, bad news on land there. But oh well. Not last question, but next question is from Mike Swintel, and he writes, could you show comic book covers with Wonder Woman on them where it is not in a series where she usually is in? Okay, so for instance, Wonder Woman, JLA, Justice League, Sensation would be illegible. I was thinking of covers like Batman, Green Lantern, etc., or books like one shots or weird series like Body Doubles. Thank you. Okay, well, I actually did kind of look through my collection, and there was a few books that I was kind of debating about showing, but they're not really Wonder Woman. I do have one which is like the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Wonder Woman one that actually got recalled because there was a lawsuit about it. But I did manage to find a few Wonder Woman ones. I was actually going to show my Justice League, and then I read the question again. I was going to show my Justice League. There's Wonder Woman. But then I realized after reading the question, you didn't want to see these. So I'm not going to show my Justice League. So there, you don't get to see the Justice League. But I will show some ones that she's in that are kind of cool. There's Deceased, Dead Planet. And, there's Wonder Woman on the cover. Kind of a cool one. Because it's kind of cool because she's getting blasted by Superman's, eye thing. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I like that one. And the other one, this is one that I just picked up. Like, this is brand new almost. And it's DC versus vampires. And it's just it's crazy, like vampire version of Wonder Woman. You can barely recognize that it's Wonder Woman. You can only tell because she's wearing the tiara. It's just kind of funny. So these are the two that I have. I don't really have that many Wonder Woman outside of the titles that you mentioned. I just couldn't think of any. I have lots of Wonder Woman in title, like Sensation and Wonder Woman, but not many outside of title, which is kind of weird. So yeah, sorry about that. But I did try. I found a couple. Okay. The next question is from Brian Davenport. Hi, I'm a comic collector geek, and I started a Matt Baker collection. Where do I go to find Golden Age comics at great prices, and what do you think you can suggest for the keys that Matt Baker has drawn for? Okay, so there's a bunch of ones. Okay, so Matt Baker keys would be like Cinderella Love. That's a big key. So he did a bunch of the covers for Cinderella Love. He also did a bunch of covers for teenage lovers, or teenage romances, I should say. And he did a bunch of covers for Phantom Lady. So the big ones for Phantom Lady are obviously number 17. That's his big ones. But he did a bunch in that run. He also did Crown Comics, number 6, and I think number 7 and 8, I believe. Those are the 3 issues. And he did another series, which I brought. Where did I put it? Brought it over here. That is kind of cool. It's called Atomic Comics, and he did these kind of. This is one of his covers. So kind of a cool Matt Baker cover. So I'm pretty sure this is his cover. Like, I feel like I'm like paranoid now about check, and I'll explain that later. But I'm pretty sure this is a Matt Baker cover. So yeah. So, and he also did let me think, some other covers that he did. Canteen Girl is another one, that a series that he was involved with, where he did a lot of the covers. The interesting thing about Matt Baker is people know him. Like, he's like one of those artists that people know. So what I actually recommend, and this is my strategy to find his covers affordably, is what you do is go to eBay and you type in Matt Baker, okay? Because any covers that were done by him generally will mention his name, okay? So what you can do is you type in Matt Baker, and then you'll get a whole bunch of listings on eBay. Not that many, but a bunch, okay? And usually the prices are pretty high because Matt Baker is well known. He's very famous and highly collectible. And what'll happen is you'll basically just write down all those titles, okay, that have the Matt Baker covers, okay? And then what you do is you search again on eBay for those same titles. Now, not everybody knows that those covers have Matt Baker on them or his artwork. So sometimes what you can do is you search one way and you'll find a book at $1,000. Search a different way for the same book, but just not through his name, where the person doesn't realize that it's a Matt Baker. And generally you'll get a much better price. And generally that's what I've been doing. Like, in order to find some of these really big books, I just search for them in a different way. It's sort of similar with Alex Schomburg. If you search Alex Schomburg, anyone that's selling an Alex Schomburg knows that it commands a lot of money. But if you search the title without Alex Schomburg in it, then you'll get people selling the books at a much more reasonable price. So just a trick that I use. To get his key issues, like any of the Matt Baker keys, really you have to kind of go to the big auction sites, like Comic Link, Comic Connect, Heritage. They have those books. And they usually command a premium because they are highly sought after. It's just the way it is. I actually brought a couple I brought one more. Where did I put my Matt Bakers? I'm going to show a bunch. Where did I put it? I'm just going to look for it here. It's probably underneath all these books. All right, well, I can't find it. So that's really annoying. I was going to show a couple more Matt Bakers that I have, but I don't know where I put it. So, yeah, sorry about that. The other question that somebody asked me was, why do you think Crown Comics #3 is a Matt Baker cover? I haven't found a source that says this. There's Matt Baker inside, but that's not the same thing. Okay, so here's Crown Comics 3. And I actually thought that this was a Matt Baker cover. And the reason I thought it was Matt Baker cover was I think I saw it listed somewhere, or somebody said that, and I just sort of ran with it in my mind. See, it says Matt Baker art. And all that means is that interior art is done by Matt Baker. Okay? Actually, there was several artists involved. But he was the one that did the character Vuda. And Vuda is the first black superhero. Well, hero. And I wasn't sure about the cover. Who did the cover? I don't know who did the cover. I actually went to Comics Database. I did a whole bunch of searches to find out who did the cover. And I even looked at the style. Now, there's elements that kind of suggest Matt Baker. There's other things that don't. So it's one of those ones where I don't know if Matt Baker did this. I don't think he did, ultimately. Generally, he didn't draw this kind of thing. Now, to answer the previous question a little bit more, there was other series like Rula and some of the stuff for Fox Publications where Matt Baker did the covers as well. I kind of wanted to mention that. But this one is an unknown artist. Nobody knows who the artist is. And if you know, if anyone, I'm almost putting a question back out to the audience here. If anyone knows who did the cover for this, please tell me in the comments below. I really want to know. I don't know who did the cover. I've actually asked a few experts and they didn't know either. So it's like, it's unknown. But I just thought it was a Matt Baker. I never knew. I didn't realize. So sometimes we make mistakes and we just think one way and find out later that it's totally wrong. Okay, so the next question is from Mike Swintel again. And he wrote, do you think Bruce Timm might have modeled Harley Quinn of the singer from the Missing Persons And then he gives me a link to the YouTube channel where I can watch the video for Missing Persons. Now, Missing Persons is a band from the early 80s, kind of punk pop, I would say, kind of a good description of them. Punk pop. So the girl kind of has that Harley Quinn look. Back in 1982, she had like pink and blue in her hair, and she really kind of has, she wears like a bra, this like crazy metal bra, and kind of has that vibe of like the Harley Quinn. However, I know for a fact that she was not the inspiration for Harley Quinn. So you're probably wondering, what was the inspiration for Harley Quinn? Well, I'm going to tell you. So there was two creators involved with Harley Quinn's creation. They are Paul Dini, and Paul Dini's the writer and kind of a little bit artist. And then there's Bruce Timm, who is truly the artist behind the way she was drawn in the cartoon. So Harley Quinn first appeared in the Batman Adventures cartoon in 1992. She first appeared in the story Joker's Favor. Okay, so basically the goal of Harley Quinn for the writers was to make a foil to Joker, to sort of bring out some of his more dark, sinister elements, and to have sort of a balance, like, you know, sort of like you always have like the silly man and the straight man, and well, Joker's kind of the straight man, and Harley Quinn is a bit of the Joker in silliness. Well, not Joker, but the silliness, the silly person. Okay. The other thing is they were kind of thinking Punch and Judy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those little dolls that kind of beat each other up. That kind of element that, and that's one of the reasons why she has the mallet. So those kind of elements, okay? And also the reason she's kind of like a jester. Like, you know, that's very Punch and Judy like. Also, Dini kind of stylized her off of Barbara Eden. And if you're not familiar with Barbara Eden, she was an actress that played I Dream of Jeannie. She was the genie in that. Actually, she strangely is quite attractive even now. And she's like in her 80s. She's a very pretty girl. What happened was they had to get a voice actress for Harley Quinn. And he was given a tape by Arlene Sorkin, who became the voice actress for Harley Quinn. And on that tape, there was an episode that she was involved with where she did sort of like this weird dream sequence where she was kind of like a jester on roller skates. It was like, so this was in our days for the soap opera Days of Our Lives. So on this audition tape kind of thing, there was like a scene where she does this weird dream sequence where she's a jester on roller skates. And he thought, wow, that's so Harley Quinn. In his mind, that's what he was kind of thinking. You know, this jester roller skates. It's kind of great. So when she did the voice for Harley Quinn, she had sort of this Brooklyn accent plus a bit of Yiddish because she's Jewish. And so Dini actually made Harley Quinn a Jewish character, which I was surprised with. I didn't know that she was Jewish, but I guess Harley Quinn is Jewish. Now, the name for Harley Quinn is actually kind of a cool origin. Like what they wanted to do was kind of play up on the idea of Batman's puns. Like Batman had like these kind of weird puns. So what they did was they kind of played a pun with her name. So they took the name Harlequin, which was this like 16th century Italian comedy, the Theater Comedy dell'arte. Okay, so that's the character from that. And they basically took the name Harlequin and made it Harley Quinn, like two separate words. So that's kind of where the origin for her name came from. And the idea was that she's this jester character. And Bruce Timm kind of got like this rough draft from Dini, and he basically then stylized Harley Quinn off of Daredevil, of all of all things, Daredevil, Golden Age Daredevil. If you look at Golden Age Daredevil, he has kind of like this split costume where it's like one color on one side, another color on the other side, and then opposite at the bottom. Well, that's what they did with Harley Quinn. So they stylized her off that and gave her like a jester hat and the jester kind of collary thing, and then put diamonds on it so that to give it a little bit more of that jester element, and it made it easier to draw as well for for the cartoon. And that's where the origin of Harley Quinn is. So all of those elements came to play to make Harley Quinn the way we see her now. So I mean, that's the first rendition. Now that they made her much more serious later on, but that was the very early version of Harley Quinn. So that is all the questions for this week. I hope you enjoyed the answers that I provided. And if you have a question that you want to ask, or if you want to have me show something from my collection, I'm more than happy to try to find whatever you're looking for, and I will show it to you. And yeah, thanks again for watching. Bye for now.